Well, here we go. I'm going to bring Kathy on in just a second, but I want to welcome you to my channel. My name is Cindy, and thank you for coming to this video. This is kind of new and different, doing a knitting video as well as having a friend on who is a fellow knitter. And I want to bring Kathy on, and I'm so excited. Hello.
Hello. Good to
All
see
right.
you.
I cannot hear you. Oh, Kelly's
Oh,
here.
okay.
Awesome. Okay, there is a setting on like okay, it looks like you're unmuted now.
Okay. Can you
Can you
see?
talk?
Can you hear me now?
I do not hear you. Hello, Jason.
All right. Let me try something different.
So Kathy and I are
Can
fellow
you hear me now?
teachers from VIP Kids. So we met online and we're working on some tech issues right now. Can you hear her? You can hear her, but I cannot. Okay, let's fix that. I don't know what that's all about. That's weird. Okay. They can hear you on YouTube, but I cannot. That is really weird. Okay, let me try something. Mute the mic, unmute the mic. Oh, this is weird. Can't unmute your guest. The mic. You can hear
Okay.
both of us. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Great.
I don't know what it was.
I think it was me.
Oh, okay. That was weird though that they could hear you and I couldn't. That's really strange. Okay. So we are fellow teachers and we also love to knit. So we kind of met. I think we met through VIP Kid, like through the YouTube videos, but also on one of the groups I had for you could do like little fun groups with the teacher friends on VIP Kid, and I did like a knitting club there for a little bit. That was really fun.
Oh, that's right. I remember going to those. They were like meetups.
Yeah. And I thought you
Those
were
were the
kind
good
of
old days.
new. Yeah,
I
I thought you
was.
were kind of new to knitting, but you were new back then to knitting?
I was. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. Now you make all kinds of stuff, right?
I can make three things.
Okay.
I can make washcloths. I
Okay.
can make one kind of baby sweater, and now I'm learning how to make socks. That's it. That's all I know how to
Very
do.
good. Well, when you learn how to make socks, you will be you'll be advancing your skills. This is kind of a little bit of more advanced type skill set for the socks, but really all it takes is determination, in my opinion.
Okay, well, that's good.
So
I
it
feel
just
very
depends.
determined.
Yeah, it depends on how determined people are to keep it going. And then once you get going, you repeat. So this is very exciting. So I do have a group on Facebook and I think 13 members. Think that includes me. So 12 members that everybody wants to learn how to make socks, different levels. And I just want you to know I did buy the zipper for the sweater pattern that you sent me. So I'm planning
Okay.
that. Yeah, I usually have more than one or two things going. This is the current sock I'm working on. So I'm at the what do you call it? The heel flap part, which I did a video about that and kind
Okay.
of told everybody how to do it, but I didn't really demonstrate. And then I have another, this is the Outlander shawl that I made.
I like
And I'm
that.
making another one for my friend. So I'm
Nice.
this far. This one
Good.
kind of goes fast. You don't really have to think as much. It's just basically knitting each row, and each row it grows. You add like a stitch at the beginning, a stitch at the end, two in the middle, and it makes a big, huge triangle. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
But it's
Yep.
straight knitting.
Is that yarn overs in the middle there where it creates those
Yes.
holes? Okay.
Yep. This yarn over's in the middle, and then there's also on the end.
Okay.
So you have a
Yep. So
little
those are nice and
decoration.
easy, but they look
Yeah, very
cool.
simple. And
Yep.
then that's what I'm wearing right now. The one I'm wearing right now, I paid a little extra for like more expensive wool. So
Okay.
this is like a real wool type. I don't usually knit with real wool, but I just watched a video on the value of wool, and it was really good. I thought, wow, I didn't realize it keeps its shape. Like, say you make a wool sweater for 20 years, it'll stay, you know,
Okay.
like you just made it.
Huh,
So,
that's interesting. It's just the
yeah,
care of it is difficult. You can't really wash it, easily, I guess.
yeah, you have to wash them by hand and then just let it air dry, that kind of thing. But I have
Yeah.
seen people, they had an elderly relative that passed away and they inherited their sweater. And I'm like, that's a beautiful sweater. Yeah, I inherited it from my grandmother. She made it like 20 years ago. They
And that
really,
definitely is worth it. Yeah,
yeah.
to have something
I was
special like
thinking the
that.
Christmas stockings I made, I should, when I get everybody done, I should go back and redo them with real wool.
That's a great
Then
idea. Yep, family heirlooms.
because I
Yeah,
mean they try, but things do break down after a while. And what
right.
else am I working on? I was gonna say something and I forgot. Oh, well, the baby sweater that I have a new grandbaby coming. And you have congratulations. Your daughter just got married, right?
She did, yeah, on January 1st. So it's very
Yeah.
different now. Life has just gotten really a lot quieter at my house.
Yeah, that's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of you look forward to it for so long, and then when it happens, you're like, wait a second, that was a dirty trick.
Yeah,
Now
it is.
she's
I mean, it's mostly good, but every now and then it seems really weird and really quiet.
Mhm.
So, have you
Now she's
started your
on.
baby sweater yet?
I have not. I printed out the
Okay.
pattern. I got the zipper, got the yarn.
Okay. That pattern, I like rewrote it from an actual pattern when I first started knitting, and that's why it's so weird because I didn't understand the actual pattern. So I had my friend explain it to me, and I rewrote it in words with like checklists to make it so I could
Oh,
understand it. So if you're looking at that and you're like, this does not look like a knitting pattern, it's because I rewrote it in English that I could understand.
very cool. That's great though. And
So
that's the other thing is, some knitters will have like a little notebook next to them, even with the socks, you might not remember. I made a sock for myself. I cast on this many stitches.
yeah,
And then, how, you could do your measurements, write down your measurements. You could write down the rows, do a checklist that way.
yeah.
I wanted to explain today a little bit about like when you're on the part where the heel flap is, and I mentioned that you can. I don't know if you did that on the baby sweater. Sometimes the baby sweaters, I didn't read it carefully. You take the sleeves off and then you finish them later. Did you do that?
No, the way that the baby sweater works that you're doing is you end up, you do the hood, then you do the neckband, and then you do this part where you increase. So you
Yeah.
kind of do like the shoulders. And
Yep.
then after you increase, you put in, okay, this is what happens when you're old, you forget. You put in stitch markers, but then you move some of the stitches to one of those giant
Yeah.
scissors. So is
Yeah.
that what
Like,
you mean by taking them off?
yeah. So you
Yes,
can either
those.
use one of
Yes,
these, like there's a
yes,
stitch holder. It opens up and you can put your stitches on there. So you can
yes.
use that for this if you want to hold
Oh,
the
okay.
weight on the top. Or I have this type. This is my circular needles that are really long. You could use something
Yes.
like this, put 28 in. Or you can just use a piece of yarn. I do have like my double pointed needles.
Okay,
Or
I'm scared of using those double pointed needles. Did your stitches fall off?
they're not that bad.
I'm so your stitches don't just go rolling off of them like
That's the thing. I do use the bamboo ones, and I like the metal ones because they are easy to knit and you can go kind of, go click along like with these 9-inch, these are metal. But with
yes.
the double pointed metal ones, I did find sometimes they would fall apart. So I
Oh,
ended
okay.
up getting the bamboo. That's why I recommend the bamboo for
So I did buy the bamboo that you recommended.
yeah. So that's kind of one of the reasons, because the bamboo kind of stays on, and then some of the more advanced knitters are like getting away. They get away from the bamboo because they can go faster and they know what they're doing. They can hold it and all that stuff.
Okay.
But the other thing you can do is just take your darning needle and get a piece of your thread and just go through 28 stitches and then just tie it off and wait until you're done with the heel flap.
So I have these really nice, these are from Knit Picks, and they're the needles with the cords.
Interchangeable. Yeah.
And I also have these little things you can screw on the ends to like hold your, so I mean,
yeah, you could put a cord of those through to hold the stitches and just put one of those things on either side until you're ready. Yep. You could do that.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, when you get to the heel flap, you've got to do the heel flap, which is a square. Then you're going to do the heel that you actually like, curves. And then it's like called turning the heel. And then you have to pick up stitches. I think that's the hardest part, picking up the stitches. And then you're going to have you're going to have a little like half of a moon type for your foot. Then you're going to have side pieces like 14 on each side. So that'd be I think it's like 10 this way, 14, 14, and then 28 across the top. So that it's all going to be around. And when I had all of that, I felt like it was better to use my double pointed needles until I was back to my original 56. And then I'm going to decrease stitches. And yeah, so I will explain that in the upcoming videos.
So are you now, I am like a novice here. So are you going to like a step-by-step video for each thing where you show?
So. Okay. Yeah, I'm planning to. So I do have, I'm working on my I've lost a piece to my other camera. So I have this camera that will show my.
Oh, I can see your hands. Yeah.
So I actually have this one that has my, the cuff. This is knit 2, purl 2. You can also do like knit 3, purl 1 type of thing.
How many, now I have mine here too, and I can tell that I was like more stressed when I was knitting, because you can see that my sock is like this is my problem. I always knit too tight. So I can tell that you didn't knit as tightly as me. So this sock is going to be super tight on me. How many inches do you have now?
That's a good question. I can measure it. I do have my
yours looks a little longer. I know I haven't hit 5.5 inches yet, but were you going to go longer than 5.5 inches?
It really depends on what you feel is comfortable. Like what I did was I got a pair of socks that I like to wear that are kind of warm socks, like the winter warm socks. We have like hiking socks.
Right. I wear those a lot too.
I took one of those and I kind of measured it up to it and kind of went by that. This one's
a good idea.
It's about 6 inches.
So are you going to keep going a little longer, or are you going to stop? Where are you going to stop?
I think I was going to stop at this point.
Okay. I think I'm going to go about that long too.
They're about the length of my other socks, but I do have people in the group that want to do more like a knee length sock.
Yep.
And I don't know if I would recommend to do this style as a knee length. I might do like the ribbing for 2 inches and then do regular knitting, if you want to make it like a knee length, because I don't know if I would do knee length with a total rib stitch. So
so what would make you not want to do the rib stitch for that long?
I'm not sure. I just, number one, it takes a long time to do rib stitch.
Right. Okay. So it's not about it being too tight or anything.
No, I don't think I would be afraid of it being too tight. But I think it might be more comfortable to just be like this type, especially.
Okay, because that's just knit on there.
Yeah, that's just knit on the foot.
Okay.
So I just think like I have like really skinny calves, so it probably wouldn't be a problem, but most people have little wider. So
I
I
do
think it
not
might be
have
more
really skinny
comfortable.
calves.
Huh?
I do not have really skinny calves.
You don't?
No.
That's why I thought you might even want to cast if you have like I would just measure my leg and figure out exactly what I want the sock to look like. Maybe even
Okay.
get a sock from the store and kind of think about
Yep.
how you like it. And then I might even do a rib stitch for a couple inches and maybe even add a few stitches if you have,
Okay.
like if you want to wear boots, maybe you want to wear these socks and wear high boots with them, or maybe you don't want to wear high boots but you have lower boots, figure out what you want out of the sock. But
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
I kind of recommend that you would just everybody in the group, especially if they're new, that they would go ahead and just make it according to the pattern. And then once you do that, you kind of know the basic makeup of the sock, and then you can adjust it however
Okay.
there are lots of sock patterns. There are people that there are so many people who make fancy things. It's amazing. But I just like the basics, and I know these are comfortable. I know people love them. I know my husband I was going to pull out one of the old ones that I made for him because he kind of requested that I make this part a little longer. And they do stretch out after a while. So it
Okay.
might be that you have to, I don't know what I would do. They're pretty old. I think at some point you have to just give in and say, these have
Get
done
worn
their
out.
and it's time to
Yeah.
move on. But
Yeah.
it's hard.
Right. All the work you put in, right?
Right. Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm thankful that you're trying it. And it helps me to see, like, when you ask questions, it helps me to know what people need help with and how to help. And I was talking to my students at my school. I have a few teenagers that want to make socks. And I was telling them that I have this group, and it's kind of to help me to know what to help them with, to kind of fine
Right.
tune the actual teaching part of it.
Right.
So, yeah. So, do you have
Yeah.
any other? Yeah. So, I'm probably going to make a video about doing the heel flap itself. And I think a lot of the people in the group have some like knitting experience. They're not like completely starting fresh, learning how to knit. But I also
Right.
do have some knitting videos. So if anybody's watching and they want to start knitting, they can check out those videos and then, message me and I'll be able to answer questions. So, yeah. So I'm just doing this
Yeah.
for the fun of it. I don't, own a yarn store. I don't I'm just trying to have fun, and in this weird time of life that we're all living in with so many things going on, it just kind of like gives me some peace and like something to accomplish. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I think this is also a great way to grow your channel. So when you get to the heel flap, I think two things that I think would really help me, I know, is if you maybe showed some still shots. So
Okay.
like when you're going to take you mentioned you're going to count off stitches and you're going to move them to something
Yep.
else. So maybe show a still shot of, okay, this was my first move. I put these 14 on this, whatever that giant paperclip thing is called, stitch
Yeah.
holder. But also then video like your hands
Right.
doing. I know for me, like when we were joining in the circle at the very beginning,
Yeah.
I the yarn actually is it on the opposite side from when you would normally knit? I don't know. I needed to see like what I needed to
It's
see that
actually
this
on the same side,
it
but you have to
okay.
turn it to make it that way. And it seems weird because
So
it's not
like
connected,
it took
but
me
it's
a few minutes to understand that.
yeah.
But if I
And
saw a picture, I might have
okay,
understood it sooner.
okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I actually have a new sock that I'm starting, and I
Okay.
was trying to figure out the biggest thing for the first row, especially, is making sure that all your stitches are facing down. None of them are twisted. And there
Yeah.
have been times, even if an experienced knitter, like I'll be casting on, I realize, okay, one of those is twisted. I have to take the whole thing out and start over. And that happens. And at the beginning, you don't mind because you're just
Right.
starting out. Sometimes kids get discouraged because they think I did all that knitting and now I have to take it out. But I'm like, it's just like anything else. You have to practice. And the more you
Right.
do it, the less mistakes you make.
Right.
But you
Yep.
do have to get through that beginning stages of learning, which
Right.
sometimes includes taking things out.
I had to take my first 2 rows out of this sock. So
Yeah.
full disclosure, anyone out there, I had to do
Yeah.
it.
And if you think about it, you know, when you start a project, you start it once, if you're lucky, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then you knit forever, and then you end it off. And, you know, so starting it and ending it, you do a lot less times than the
Right.
actual
Yep.
knitting or working on the project.
Right.
So
True.
you got to give yourself some grace on that. Yeah. And there are different
Yep.
ways of casting on, like that's why when I do beginners, like some people, like for myself, when I had a friend who was teaching me how to knit, and I had one way that I cast on. And she said, "Well, I use the long tail cast on. Have you ever seen it?" And I'm like, "No. Show me right now." You know? Because
Yep.
I'm like, if you're doing it, I should be doing it. That's kind of how I
Right.
am. But some
Yes.
people are like, I know how to cast on, I'm good with it, and they just keep using their own
So
method.
that's kind of like where I'm at. But so is there a difference? So I just cast on Knitwise because it's easy for me. But
Yeah.
is there something like a positive or a negative to learning different ways?
I just think that learning casting on Knitwise is great for beginners. And sometimes even when I do beginners, if I'm in person, I'll just cast on for them. So they just learn the knit stitch first, then I'll teach them how to knit knit and on. I also teach them how to put it over their thumb and just put it on that way. But I think knitting on is better to start with. That would be the second best. And then I think that the long tail cast on works because I think it's faster once you get going.
Okay, so that's the benefit of using the long tail. It's just a faster way of doing it.
Yeah, but it can be annoying because you have to make sure your tail is long enough.
Does it affect the way the finished project
No,
looks at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I can show you what mine looks like, and I don't think it really makes that much difference.
Like the difference between the tops.
Yeah,
They look
I
about
don't
the
think
same.
it really does. Now, I was going to say too that where I started, I had a tail right here, and I did hide the end already.
Yeah.
But I had
I haven't done that yet.
I had a
Okay.
little bit
Yep.
of a bump here from when I started. So I just
Yep.
kind of like knitted it so that bump was kind of like not noticeable. So
Yep.
you can kind of do that too. And then in order to hide the ends, you just want to use your darning needle. You put the end in the darning needle, and I just go up 2 inches and back 1. And
Okay.
lock your stitch.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
what are
I'm
your
looking
goals for
forward to
knitting?
My goals for knitting this year is to learn how to make socks proficiently. I think I have decided that I do not want to make socks for the little children though, because
Oh, yeah.
I realized this is going to be a lot of work, and I don't want to make socks for people who are still growing. So
Well,
the
one thing is though, they grow, but their socks are quicker. Like it's a lot less time to make
this
little
is
kids
true.
socks.
So I do want to be proficient at making socks as a gift for people. And then aside from socks, so I'm super good at making that zip up baby sweater now. I can whip those out in no time. But now I would like to learn to make just kind of a simple cardigan that would be like a nice preschooler, toddler type sweater because I think my kids, especially my daughter, she really likes the baby sweater that I made for her little guy. I actually made him too. So he's in the biggest size right now. And I thought about trying to modify the pattern to make it bigger, but I think that sweater really is not, I think it's better for just a baby or a toddler. So I want to learn how to make the next kind of sweater, a sweater for a preschooler so that I can give him something else because he's about ready to outgrow what he's got. So
that's cool. Well, have you signed up to Ravelry yet?
I haven't because I don't have a lot of spare time. Okay. So I think for 2020, go ahead.
The thing about Ravelry is like you could type in the search bar, easy toddler sweater. And right. Or you could even look, Kelly's going to do her workout. Good job, Kelly. Keep it up. So, and then you if there's a sweater that you like on yeah, you're right. It could be a time waster because you could be like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. I love that. But you can say you like one of the sweaters that I made and I put the pattern on there. You click on the pattern and you can see all the other people that made that same pattern. And
that's cool. Yeah.
So it is kind of cool. Or you could you can message people if you find my thing, you could message me and say, hey, can you send me an easy toddler pattern? And it could be, and you can also, there are free patterns, but there's also some that you buy. So you can type in the side free patterns.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I did buy this pattern from someone for the Outlander shawl. I looked at a million of them. A lot of times they're putting them on Pinterest too. Like if you see a pattern on Pinterest that you like, they'll say free on Ravelry. So then you go in there. So it could be a time consuming thing, but it also could save time.
I actually just, even for actual knitting too, I'm finishing my master's degree right now. So my classes start this week. This is my last semester. So, but even just actual knitting time. So if I can, get confident in making socks in 2024, that would be a good accomplishment. And then maybe 2025, I can move on to something else. So, yeah.
I mean, it is weird but I've heard a saying, if you want something done, you ask the busiest people. It's
that
kind of
is totally true.
People that you think, how do you have time? Well, people who sit around just sit around. People
that is actually true
are the people who are busy and they get things
You're right
done.
about that. You're right about that. And people do say that about me. I get things done. You're right.
I heard that one time. I was an adult. I was probably 35 or so when somebody told me that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so true.
Yep.
So that's how Kelly and I are doing a book report thing. And I just listen to the books as I'm traveling back and forth to school. I just don't waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
So this kind of fills in, and really knitting is kind of takes time. But on the other hand, sometimes you need time to slow down,
Right. It's a nice end of the day activity.
Yeah. And when it comes to Christmas, I made a lot of dishcloths over the summer, especially when we went traveling. We drove all the way to Georgia and I made 30 dishcloths and I just saved them. And then I actually put one in a craft. It was like a fair, I put 6 items in the county fair just for show. And then I sold some at a craft fair and the rest I had left, I gave away for gifts.
Yeah, I have one right here I'm working on.
Oh, wow. Nice. Is that the grandmother's favorite square?
I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I have that on my channel too. I have a video of that because you go to yarn over and then you knit. Yeah. And
I love those. It's the only kind I have.
That's kind of like what the shawl is, really.
Yeah.
Because you start with 5 and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a shawl instead of a dishcloth. Yeah, it's quite similar.
So the thing with the dishcloths is because of the cotton yarn, and you have to I have carpal tunnel syndrome and I have arthritis, and there's something about knitting with that cotton yarn.
Yeah.
That makes my hands just hurt. So I can't. So knitting the socks has actually helped, I think. I feel like it's stretching my tendons and whatever. But so knitting with the cotton yarn, it kills me. So I have to be very limited with what I do with that.
Well, that's why I actually went to crocheting and I crocheted all the dishcloths. Number one, I thought it was a little faster. Number two, I made them look like flowers, so people kind of
Okay.
think they're cool. And they're decorative and stuff like that. Looks more like a doily, but they were faster for me to make.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I found that I did go away from knitting for a while because funny thing is, it hurts my shoulder. So I have
Okay.
to like not tense up. I have to like loosen up and try not to
Yeah.
tense up, which is really weird. How can you hurt your shoulder when you're knitting? But it's just
Yeah,
how.
mine hurts my elbow too. Yeah.
So somehow those in the olden days they figured it out because it's either
They
knit
must have.
or you go cold.
Yeah, or just
Well,
suffer pain while you do it.
yeah. Well, thank you for joining my group
Yeah,
and
no
thank you
problem.
for
Thanks.
coming
Yeah,
on here and talking about this and giving me some tips for teaching in the future. And
awesome.
I know you have a lot to do today, so thank you so much for making
Yeah,
time.
great. Yeah, thank you. So
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to the next video.
Awesome. Thank you. All
All right.
right.
Thank you. Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank everyone for watching. So please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe for more videos coming up on sock knitting and other knitting things and other teacher tips and whatever comes up. And I do hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.